So in part one of this kind of series on my fence, I talked about being able to make the fences, and here I'm going to go through and actually put them up. So I took out all the busted old fence. There are 3 total panels, and you can really see the points of failure here as far as what kind of caused it. There's a lot of rock, and it's just uneven. Between my neighbor's yard and my yard, there's between 1 foot and 6 inches of dirt slash rock that kind of slides into the fence, and it's just always pushing on it. So you can really see here, there's just a big gap between my yard and my neighbor's yard, which pushed on the fence and caused the problem. And there's one post that needed to be replaced, which was really the cause of all the problems. You can see here that it's rotted out, and I was not planning on that at all. I thought it was just kind of bent, so I was going to just jack it out and have it all one piece, real easy replaced, but that was not the case. It broke clean at the ground level, so there's about 3 or 4 feet worth of post that's buried here, that it's just rotted and it's terrible, and So I started out by digging out the post around the area that it was, just trying to get down to where I ran into no more rotten wood. And I kept going deeper and deeper and deeper, and I kept finding more. Eventually I did get it cleaned up here. It doesn't really pick up on camera here, but that thing's about 3 feet deep or so, and that's all the dirt from that. I also spent some time trying to level out some of this area. I need to do a better job of it, but for the beginning, that's kind of the start here of getting it leveled out so that we don't have this problem anymore. Once I had that figured out, I went through, laid out the old fence onto the new fence, and really just went through and traced out exactly the kind of curve of everything here. So it's a really easy process. Just lay it on top, put a pencil in there, and kind of mark for the best. Now, I didn't record a lot of the other process as far as putting everything up, and that's purely because I was a one-man show here and it was like 95 degrees out, and I just was not taking the time to set up a tripod and get footage of everything. But here I go, and I'm going through and cutting with a jigsaw. This is a Black & Decker jigsaw that I got off of Amazon for like 20 or 30 bucks. It's not the best, but it does the job for this in particular. Just following along the lines, going through and cutting all the pieces out, making sure that I have everything set up. Now, while it's going here, I didn't record myself putting the post in, which is probably the hardest part, but it's really not that big of a deal. So as I mentioned earlier, I dug out the hole, which is not a big deal, and then I put a new post in. From there, I took a 80-pound bag of concrete and threw it in there and kind of just mushed it around a little bit. I didn't wet it or set it up, just a dry bag of concrete, threw it in there, and then I just made sure it was on line with the rest of the fence posts using a string, and then I went through and made sure it was level. After that, I threw any remaining rock or dirt on top of it to make sure it didn't move, and then once it rained, I knew the groundwater would set up the concrete and it would be ready to go and solid as always. The actual original post didn't have any concrete in there, so it was just sitting raw wood in the ground for 5, 10, 20 years, however long. It was not designed to last, and it definitely showed here. So again, do the right things, use pressure treated wood, go through and just set up the things as necessary. My post is just a 4x4 that I cut to length to kind of line up with the other post, and that's the entire process for the post part of this. I then used a couple of different fasteners. I had nails. I also had some galvanized screws for decking that I put in there. There are these little brackets that I use the nails and screws on, and then these guys here I just use screws on. That's really took the weight. It's more meant for decking than fences, but it worked perfectly for what I needed to do. I placed these at the exact same spaces the old ones were. As you can see here, everything lines up. It's just a different style bracket, but I went through and used nails and screws, put it in there, and I'm happy with the result. The end fence looks wonderful, and it works for exactly what I needed to do instead of this busted stuff.